So I just want to take it back. What was your upbringing like? Growing up in the area, and how did sports play in the fact, like what sports you played? Let's say from your childhood up until high school.
Okay, I mean, coming from the I was born in Washington D.C. Of course, my mother is from Washington D.C. My father was from actually Florida, rooted from Alabama. So come from a big family. My mother had seven brothers. My father had eight siblings. So and all athletes on both sides of the family. At the same time, was always intrigued. You know what I mean? Was always intrigued with sports, seeing that and being exposed to those things as well, and then seeing them have to work to play sports, and then seeing the injuries and seeing how they dealt with being hurt. So for me, it was I kind of had one of those weird childhoods in a sense to where I kind of knew what I wanted to do early on. A lot of times you don't know what you want to do. You know what I mean? People say what you want to do when you grow up. And actually, what I wanted to do wasn't a job then. You know what I mean? It wasn't something that was a job. You didn't have a trainer, right? So I just knew I always had a passion for the body, the passion for training. I love the process of working out. I love the process of preparing my body. I love the process being able to help other people and push other people, whether it be my teammates or just kids in the neighborhood, or just always just kind of knew early on I had a sense of discernment, sense of leadership in a sense, right? I think I was just blessed in that sense as well. So I kind of just spearheaded me into, my high school career where I played, both sides of the ball. I ran track, played basketball, multi-sport athlete. Um, and then going to college, North Carolina Central University, where I played a football scholarship there, ran track as well. But, just taking those things with me, having an opportunity to play professionally in the CFL after college. I was a captain in college, all my, for my years there. So again, those leadership things happen throughout each process. Where I've been a captain, high school, college. So you kind of have this same progression through. And even when I worked out for CFL team, I remember it was an open workout, and I was working out, and I didn't know a lot of the guys that was there. We was just kind of standing around, and I just kind of took lead in reference to just warming guys up. We was gonna have to compete against each other. You know what I mean? I just figured, hey man, let's give ourselves an opportunity to warm up. Crazy thing is that not only performing well at that workout, the head coach and general manager came to me and said they loved my leadership ability to be able to take responsibility of the routine. They said they noticed that off the break, and they signed me. So all these things transpiring into the career I have. I'm doing today. I wouldn't even really like to call it a career. It's just living my purpose and my passion with training now.
Got you. Like you touched on, how you kind of already knew, as a child watching your uncles and going through those progressions from youth, high school to college to professionally, that you had the passion for preparation and the body right. You've gained, you're recognized as one of the top trainers in not only the DMV, but I would say one of the top guys in your profession. How did you gain that reputation and reach that level?
Um, I mean, that wasn't something I was looking to do though. You know what I mean? I think that's anybody who. Man, I don't know what that status is. You know what I mean? You know who I am based off the people that I've trained in a sense. But again, that's not why I got in it, or that's why I started doing it. I think you don't chase that,
Mhm.
and I think what happened was it was just a maturation of people actually trying what I was trying to help them with. You know what I mean? And having success behind it, and then the next person came, and then the next person came. Where it just spread, it spread. This before the internet. This before social media. So it's like, all these stories were all word of mouth, man. Reference. I was training people that were for me. Relationships that were organically forming. I wasn't going out here, looking up who was the top player, who was the best. I wanted to put my hands on him and take credit for his success or her success. No, it wasn't. It was none of that. It was just, hey, I think I have something that I've been able to kind of, a philosophy I've been able to practice myself. I know it worked. Now I love to teach you to try it, see how it would affect you. And that's what I had. I just had buy-in, man. I had families. And then because I was doing fitness and sports performance, it wasn't like I was just training these athletes. You know what I mean? And a lot of times that gets overshadowed. I was in regular gyms, training people like your mother, aunts, uncles, cousins, people in the neighborhood, trying to get them in shape, teaching this philosophy to them, the lifestyle traits that are needed in reference to training. And it just carried over into to athletes. But again, these athletes just regular people, man. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Vernon Davis and Stefon Diggs, before they become who they are in the NFL, they just regular folks. And that's how I trained them. I didn't train them with this premise of them being celebrities or being, making all this money. I just trained them. And I think it helped them from a humility standpoint too, being around different people and in the gym as well. So, I would say that, just organic manifestation, man. You know what I mean?
Got you, got you. And you mentioned, guys just buying in. Like you said, everything was organic. It wasn't like you were going out there to, who was the hottest name or who was the, the biggest guy. Like you just, they bought into you, right? Um,
Yep.
so when it comes to, I would say those athletes, those top athletes, whether it's high school, college, professionally, what is one quality that you have noticed in, whoever, how they
Mhm.
train to, make them so great?
I think the main quality is allowing themselves to continuously be evaluated, to know there's another level or another standard, right? And then always tell people, like, it's a gift to have that ability to read that in people, because you can have somebody who can work with somebody and train somebody and get them to a certain level, and it become content in a sense. Meaning, if I've always just drank this brand of water and it got me to this level, then I'm going to continue to just drinking that brand of water. But if somebody say, "Hey, man, you should try this water with this chicken and this rice. I think it'll make you better." That person has to be able to say, "All right, I want to do that. I want to get better." Or it's going to be a type of person where they be like, "Man, you know what? I made it this far, man. I made a lot of money just drinking this water, bro. I don't need to eat the chicken and rice."
Mhm.
And I think with all of those athletes and people in general that have success, I think that is the thing that I see, the separator in a sense, right? So even with, take a guy like Stefan, for example, you know, through his whole career, he's always came back to challenge himself. We've always, and everybody, evaluate what we need to work on. How can we get better? Doing things differently each year, not doing the same thing. How are we going to approach this season? Even being going into his 10th year. So, it's just, that's what I noticed the most, that resonates the most with me. You know what I mean? Just continuously wanting to improve, continuously listening, being coachable too, and myself included. You know what I mean? I'm not out of the equation either. You know what I mean? I listen too.
Got you. Got you. That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Always finding something, you need to, improve on, or even just trying something new just to see, how
It
I can.
it could be it could be
Yeah.
something small, man. Like this
Mhm.
year, I'm just gonna give you an example. What Steph wants to do this year, right? The season. he wants to do more in season training than he's done in the past, where it's not just the team, right? He wants to put an emphasis on his speed work during the season and breaking down the season in a quarterly progression in reference to his strength training. Normally, you go to these teams and you plan these games, but you're leaving it up to the strength coaches, right? Okay,
Mhm.
here and there on a bye week, you may fall in line and we may get together, but or we may communicate, "Hey, how you feeling?" Maybe you're not trying to, but you pretty much routine with what you're doing. Now it's like I'm in my 10th year. I signed a 3-year deal, and I want to go do something totally different than what I've been doing all these years. Man, that's huge.
Yeah, that's true.
That's huge. That's
That's
huge.
that's true. Tell me about the domain fitness and performance gym.
Oh man, another blessing, man. Just another opportunity. I've had that business plan written down and in my mind first for years. You know what I mean? From working in different gyms, seeing all the good things that some gyms do, and seeing some of the bad things that gyms do. Having an opportunity to be in corporate structured companies, and then contracted situations where we had to sublease space, or we were contractually not under contract and working in these spaces, right? And learning the business, customer service, corporate structure, all these things, and took a lot of time, right? So with that, it took 30 years to get to this point, but it was always a vision to fuse fitness with sports performance, like we talked about earlier. I never separated it. It was never separate for me. It was never anything like this. The word sports specific came up later, as the internet came. I didn't believe in that. There's no such thing as sports specific to me. I believe in everybody needs, regardless of sport, everybody want to be bigger, faster, stronger, quicker, more flexible, healthy. It doesn't matter what's, there's no sports specificity to that. So what are the lifestyle teachings, and what space can we create to create these lifestyle teachings, right? Where I saw athletes come into a general public space and learn from other people, self-observationally, socially diversify themselves in the space, right? Grow as from kids all the way up to professionals, whether they made it to the professional level or they got a scholarship and graduated from college successful in whatever they're doing. It was all like learned behavior, and it all started with that gym. So with Domain Fitness, we were able to create the space with the name called Domain, which signifies it's your domain, it's your space, and it's for everybody. If you notice on the logo, if you look at the A on the hat, I'll come forward, but it has a covering, and inside that covering is a that dot is a person, and that's you. And we incorporated the word fitness and performance, meaning you got to be fit first. When you fit, your performance will be high, and it just doesn't have anything to do with sports. It has everything direct correlation to how you represent yourself in your life, is your performance. So now having this space and really being able to have this vision of being able to do it where it's never been done before, in my opinion. You always had general fitness gyms. So you got a Lifetime Fitness, you might have an LA Fitness, you might have a Planet Fitness, and then you got a sports specific place or a CrossFit place. Nobody has bridged the gap to put all two together because they've all been intimidated by each other in so many words, or not really want to be involved. The sports world doesn't really want to be involved in the fitness world. The fitness world doesn't want the athletes around. I knew both could work because I trained in that environment. So how do we create that space? We create that space by one, creating a space on how you feel when you first walk in, right? So everything from the way the space is designed, the feng shui, the colors, the lighting, how we set up the floor and the equipment, the flow, all this was based off my experiences and years in the business on what I envisioned. And we only been open for about 45 days. The community's been great to us. I'm in my hometown. I went to high school right down the street from the community. I was able to we were able to build a gym. I did it with two of my best closest friends, Montgomery County guys. We're all athletes. We all respect respected in our own right, in our own endeavors outside of this, coming into this project. And it's just good to get the county behind us, community behind us, and then really see the vision come into play, man. It's been a beautiful thing for sure. And then hear what I've envisioned, you know what I mean? How you feel when you walk into space, man. Everybody says, I love it here. I love the way it make me feel. They don't say anything about the equipment, the equipment being brand new. They just all say how it makes them feel when you walk in. And they say they love it. So we were able to, it's good to be able to get this vision across, man, and what I wanted and how I wanted people to feel, regardless of where you are in your life, and not being judgmental towards that.
Gosh, yeah, that's powerful, right? Like I've only seen clips of like the facility, but it looks like you said, like everything you mentioned, it looks like state of the art. Pretty much got
Yeah.
everything in there, whether it's performance or fitness, just how it has in the name. So congrats on that.
No, I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. We wanted a uniqueness. We wanted to separate ourselves from the industry in a sense because I feel like everybody uses the same terminology, right? You use the word state of the art
Hmm.
equipment, right? Everybody says that.
Yeah.
What I've learned through this whole process, and just in life in general, not just in business, you got to have state of the art people.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying? So you can walk in a gym, a nice gym. There's gyms all over this country. A dumbbell is a dumbbell. You know what I mean? A leg press is a leg press machine. A squat rack is a squat rack machine. Anywhere you go around the country, TVs everywhere, right? It's just a gym if you just walk in there. But it's when you walk in there and then you actually connect with the people and the individuals that can help you, it becomes a place of solitude and refuge to really get better.
Mm.
Um, so that's what I mean. That's what it comes down to. That's how you separate yourself. That's how we're separating ourselves from the industry. It's not just the look or the equipment that we have in the space. It's the people. You can't duplicate the people because again, this stuff is being organically manifest because of the people that's involved.
Mhm.
And it's only just a manifestation of everything that we've always done leading up into this point on what's been created. So, that makes us different already.
Got you. Got you. And what's a bit of advice you have for someone who wants to get in your profession?
The advice I always say is, get the experience, man. I think the process is gone now a little bit because of social media, you know what I mean? And then the instant gratification and things happening faster. But it's still gonna be a process to stuff. You know what I mean? And my friend always says this. He said, my business partner and my close friend David Vanderpool, and I love when he said, choose your heart. Whatever you do is gonna be hard. You can't expect anything to be easy, but choose it. Choose your heart. What do you rather go through if you got to go through something that's hard? So I think just know that it's gonna be hard. I was kicked out of gyms. I had to figure out how I was going to get to the next gym and train clients. At the same time, having kids and a family. You know what I mean? And the guys that are coming in this field, they think because they get a certification and a piece of paper that gives them the credibility, or you graduated with a degree. All that is paper. You pass tests,
Mhm.
but you haven't went through the rigors of the development that's needed, right, to make you a great trainer. All of the experiences, and if you don't, I'm not saying you have to go through everything that I've went through, because I can share now some of the things that I've been through with you to speed you up, but you're still going to go through something. And I think that's what people need to understand coming into this business. I'm not going to make you go to the back of line and start where I started, but at the same time, I'll forward you up. But no, from going forward now, it's still going to be hard. It's
Mhm.
still development that got to take place. So that's the advice I would give. Just prepare yourself for that. And then, you know what I mean, on the times where you feel like quitting, it's okay. Because anybody told you they ain't never felt like quitting or never wanted to quit, they ain't never did nothing.
Mhm.
You ain't did nothing if you ain't never feel like. It's okay to feel like you want to quit. That means you took you've been somewhere where your mind had to make an adjustment, whether that's physically or mentally. That it's okay to feel that way. It ain't okay to quit. So then it's got to be something in you to say, nah, I got this is what I want to do. This is who I am. This is just something I got to go through, a process I have to go through. So, you know, that's going to be a part of it. And they got to deal with that. And that's that's definitely the advice I would give.
That's great. That's good stuff right there. Um, I I don't know if you remember this, but it's something that always stuck with me. I would say 9 years ago, I was working as assistant basketball coach at Lamont Rec Center
Uh huh.
with Black.
Uh huh.
With Black was and you came in and spoke to the kids.
Right.
Um, it's something that it's something that always stuck with me even since then. I was in college. I think I was about 20 years old. And you was like, you don't put anything in your body that doesn't benefit you. And the
Yeah.
kids started asking you all these questions. They're like, so you don't eat honey buns? You don't eat? He's like, nah. I remember it's something I remember vividly. So
Yeah.
having this interview is kind of like a full circle moment for me, in which I can, sit down with you, pick your brain apart. So I really appreciate this.
No, man, that's crazy, man. You got that memory, but again, you know, and that just also speak to the fact that when you're doing stuff like that, because I'm always doing stuff like that, right? So it's like you're not thinking of it, not doing it for any reason, right? But the thing is, these are the reasons because you don't know how it affects certain people
Mm-hmm.
or what people remember, and sometimes you won't hear about it. You know what I mean? And that's cool. I may have never heard you say that, right? But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you held on to that. So like that right there makes me feel good. You made my day with that one, to be honest with you. And you don't get a chance to run into people to know, like, damn, how did I affect your life, man? Did I
Yeah.
what I say helped you? You know what I mean? You don't know that stuff. So it's like, that's cool, man. That's dope. That's real
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. Sure. For sure. So on this memory here at Rocker Park. This theme. Somebody needs a basket. We're gonna see. We're gonna see when the plug go post. Snacks. Tell me yesterday. HBC.
Man, once again, man, I appreciate you having me, man, and congrats, man, on the platform. And I say keep it going, keep doing your thing.